Part 1: The Beginning. It was the first day of fall semester at Columbia State University, New York. Students flooded the campus, carrying books, coffees, and fresh excitement for a new year. The autumn breeze made the leaves dance across the wide green lawns, and the sound of laughter echoed from the bustling cafeteria. Among the crowd walked Emily and Sophia, two best friends who had been inseparable since middle school. Emily came from a modest, middle-class family, raised with values of kindness and humility. Sophia, on the other hand, had a wealthy background. Her father was a successful real estate developer, and she was used to luxury cars, designer bags, and expensive vacations. Despite their differences, their friendship had survived through the years. But there was always a hint of superiority in Sophia's tone, and Emily often ignored it, knowing her friend was spoiled but not entirely bad at heart. As the two girls walked toward their lecture hall, a boy passed them. His clothes were simple: an old but neat shirt, jeans that had clearly been washed too many times, and a backpack that looked like it had seen better days. His phone was cracked, the kind of device most students would throw away. Yet, his eyes told a different story, bright, deep, and full of determination. Emily noticed him and smiled politely. The boy looked slightly startled but returned a shy smile before walking past. Sophia immediately rolled her eyes and muttered under her breath, "Seriously, Em? Did you just smile at him? Did you see his shoes? I swear, they look like they came from a thrift store clearance bin. And that phone, my cleaning lady has a better one." Emily frowned. "Sophia, come on, don't be so judgmental. Not everyone's into brands and labels." He seemed different. "Honest, maybe. Honest or broke," Sophia snorted. "Please. In this world, people respect you if you have money. That guy shouldn't even be at Columbia. He looks like he belongs in some community college in the middle of nowhere." Emily sighed but chose not to argue. Still, she couldn't shake off the way the boy's eyes had looked. There was something genuine, something strong in them. The next day, the mystery boy appeared again, this time in their lecture hall. The professor introduced him to the class. "Students, this is Daniel Parker. He's transferring here this semester. Make him feel welcome." Daniel gave a small, polite smile and said softly, "Hi, nice to meet you all." A few students chuckled under their breath. His humble appearance made him stand out in a classroom full of designer sneakers and the latest iPhones. Sophia leaned closer to Emily and whispered, "See? I told you. Total charity case." Emily shot her a look but said nothing. Daniel scanned the room for a seat and eventually settled on the bench right in front of Emily. The lecture began, and when the professor posed a difficult question, Daniel raised his hand. His answer was clear, well-structured, and insightful. Even the professor seemed impressed. "Excellent point, Daniel," the professor said. "I can tell you've studied this subject deeply." Emily couldn't help but smile proudly. Sophia, however, scoffed. "Okay, so he's a nerd. Big deal. Let's see him pay rent with his knowledge." Weeks passed, and projects were assigned. By a twist of fate, Emily and Daniel were placed in the same group. Sophia ended up with another team. At first, Emily wasn't sure how things would go. But as they met in the library and worked on assignments together, she began to see a side of Daniel that went far beyond books. He was intelligent, yes, but also humble and kind. He talked about his dreams, how he wanted to give his mom a better life after years of struggle. "My mom's worked 2 jobs. Ever since Dad left," Daniel admitted one evening while they were studying. "I promised her one day she won't have to worry about bills. That's why I work part-time after classes. I don't have much, but I have goals. I'll get there." Emily felt her chest tighten. She admired him, not just for his intelligence but for his resilience, his heart. Unlike the flashy guys on campus, Daniel wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was just real. But Sophia wasn't blind to the growing connection between them. One afternoon at the campus cafe, she confronted Emily. "Okay, tell me I'm not seeing this wrong. Are you actually friends with that guy? Daniel, whatever his last name is." Emily stirred her coffee calmly. "His name is Daniel Parker. And yes, I'm friends with him. He's in my project group." Sophia smirked. "Project group, please. You've been spending way more time with him than that. Don't tell me you're actually interested." Emily's cheeks flushed. She hadn't admitted it out loud yet, but something inside her was already shifting. Sophia leaned closer, her tone mocking. "Emily, listen to me. You're classy. You have a future. Do you really want to waste your time with a guy who probably can't even afford dinner at Olive Garden? What will people say when they see you with him? You deserve someone who drives a Tesla, not some second-hand Honda. Emily's voice was steady but firm. Sophia, not everything is about money. Daniel's different. He's smart, hardworking, and kind. Honestly, I'd rather spend an hour talking with him than a lifetime with those shallow rich guys you hang out with. Sophia laughed. Character doesn't pay the bills, Em. Remember that. But Emily couldn't ignore what she felt. Day by day, her respect and admiration for Daniel grew deeper. She found herself looking forward to their library sessions, their coffee breaks, even the silence they shared while working side by side. Sophia, however, didn't let up. Every time she saw Emily with Daniel, she teased her mercilessly. "Ah, look at you two lovebirds. Did he take you on a date yet? What was it, McDonald's dollar menu? How romantic." Emily rolled her eyes, but deep down she wanted to defend him even more. Because what Sophia didn't understand was that Daniel had something no amount of money could buy: a good heart, a vision, and the courage to dream bigger than his circumstances. And Emily was starting to realize, she was falling for him. Part 2. Growing closer. The crisp fall days slowly turned into chilly winter evenings. The campus lawns at Columbia State University were now covered with fallen leaves, and students were wrapped in scarves and coats as they rushed between classes. Emily and Daniel had grown closer with every passing week. Their project had long since been completed, earning the highest grade in the class, but their connection hadn't stopped there. Emily found herself spending hours with Daniel in the library, at the cafe near campus, and sometimes even walking home with him when he got off from his part-time job at the bookstore. He didn't have much money, but he carried himself with quiet dignity. And that, to Emily, was worth more than any luxury car or flashy watch. One Friday evening, Emily asked Daniel if he wanted to grab a coffee after study group. Daniel hesitated. "Honestly, I'd love to, but I should probably head to work. My shift starts in an hour." Emily tilted her head. "You're working again? That's like the third time this week." He gave a sheepish smile. "Yeah, rent doesn't pay itself. And my mom, well, I send her whatever I can." Her heart warmed. "Daniel, you don't have to explain yourself to me. I admire you for what you're doing." But before he could reply, a familiar voice cut through the air. Well, what do we have here?" It was Sophia, strutting toward them in her designer boots, her long coat swaying dramatically. She had a frappuccino in hand and an amused smirk plastered on her face. "Emily, you didn't tell me you were hanging out with your charity project tonight." Emily stiffened. "Sophia, stop it." Daniel tried to wave it off, but Sophia wasn't done. "So, Daniel, where's the big date? Let me guess, you're taking her to Starbucks because you can't afford anywhere else." Daniel's jaw tightened, but he remained calm. "I'm actually headed to work." Sophia laughed. "Of course you are. What is it this time?" "Janitor. Pizza delivery." Emily's cheeks burned with anger. "Sophia, enough." But Daniel just gave a small, polite nod. "It's fine, Emily. I'll see you later." And with that, he walked away. Emily turned to her friend, furious. "Why do you do that? Why do you humiliate him every chance you get?" Sophia sipped her drink nonchalantly. "Because I care about you. And I'm not going to watch you throw away your future on someone who can't even afford a real date. You deserve a guy who can give you everything, not him." Emily shook her head in disbelief. "You don't get it, Sophia. Not everything is about money. Some things, some people, are worth more than all of this." She stormed off, leaving Sophia standing alone with her expensive coffee and shallow words. The next few weeks were a test. Emily spent more time with Daniel, often visiting him at the bookstore where he worked. She loved watching how he treated every customer with patience and respect, whether it was a stressed student or a little kid looking for their first picture book. One night, as they walked out together, Daniel asked softly, "Emily, why are you spending so much time with me? You don't have to. You could be with people who fit your world better." Emily stopped and looked at him. "Daniel, you do fit my world. Maybe not the one Sophia talks about, but the one that matters. You inspire me. You make me want to be better. That's rare." Daniel's breath caught, and for a moment, he couldn't find words. No one had ever said something like that to him before. But the more their bond grew, the more Sophia mocked. At a campus party one weekend, she spotted Emily and Daniel arriving together. Daniel wasn't dressed like the other guys, no branded sneakers, no flashy jacket. Just his usual simple clothes. Sophia immediately pounced. "Oh my God, Emily. You actually brought him here. Did you forget the dress code, rich only?" A few students nearby laughed. Daniel clenched his fists but kept quiet. Emily shot back, her voice firm. "Sophia, grow up, you sound ridiculous." Sophia raised an eyebrow. "I'm just saying, Em. You walk into a room with him, and people are going to think you downgraded." Badly. Daniel excused himself, not wanting to cause a scene. Emily followed him outside, where the cold air bit at their faces. "I'm sorry about her," Emily whispered. "She doesn't know when to stop." Daniel shook his head. "No, she's right. You could have anyone here, Emily. Someone who can take you on trips, buy you expensive gifts, and instead, you're stuck with me." Emily grabbed his hand. "Daniel, listen to me. I don't care about trips or gifts. I care about you, about your heart, your dreams, your honesty. Don't ever think you're not enough for me." Her words lingered in the winter air, warming Daniel more than any coat ever could. But life wasn't about to get easier. Finals were coming up, and Daniel was stretched thin. He worked extra shifts to cover rent, studied late into the night, and still found time to help Emily with her projects. His exhaustion was clear, but he never complained. One evening, Emily showed up at the bookstore with a bag of takeout. "You need a break," she said, setting the food on the counter. "Come on, eat with me." Daniel chuckled softly. "You didn't have to. I wanted to," she replied. As they sat together, Sophia walked in, her perfect timing as cruel as ever. "Well, isn't this cute? Emily buying dinner because her boyfriend can't afford it himself. Adorable." Emily glared. "Sophia, I swear." Sophia smirked. "Don't waste your breath. But mark my words, Emily. This little fairytale won't last. Love doesn't pay the bills. And sooner or later, reality will hit you hard." With that, she strutted out, leaving a silence behind. Daniel lowered his gaze. Maybe she's right. Emily reached across the table, taking his hand. "No, Daniel, she's not. Love doesn't need money to exist. And I believe in you. One day, you'll prove everyone wrong." For the first time, Daniel allowed himself to believe she might be right. But deep inside, Sophia's words echoed like poison, planting seeds of doubt in both their hearts. Could love really survive in a world where money ruled everything? Emily believed it could. Daniel wanted to believe, but life was about to test them in ways neither of them saw coming. Part 3: Trials and Doubts. Winter break had passed, and the new semester began with snow still clinging to the streets of New York. Students returned from their vacations with stories of ski trips in Aspen, beach parties in Miami, or shopping sprees in Los Angeles. Emily listened quietly in the lecture hall as classmates bragged about their adventures. Unlike them, she hadn't gone anywhere fancy. She'd spent most of her time helping her mom with holiday preparations, and of course, meeting Daniel whenever he wasn't working. Daniel hadn't taken a vacation at all. He had spent every day working double shifts, bookstore in the afternoons, waiting tables at a small diner during the evenings. When Emily asked him why he didn't take a break, he smiled. "Breaks are for people who can afford them. I can't, not yet." His words hit her heart like a weight. She admired his dedication, but she also worried about how much he carried on his shoulders. Sophia, meanwhile, returned from her family's Caribbean cruise tanner than ever, with a suitcase full of designer clothes. She wasted no time picking up where she left off, mocking Emily's growing closeness with Daniel. One afternoon at the campus coffee shop, she leaned across the table with a smug grin. "So, Emily, how was your winter break? Oh wait, let me guess, you spent it helping Daniel count tips at the diner." Emily set down her coffee with a sigh. "Sophia, do you ever get tired of being cruel?" Sophia feigned innocence. "I'm just being realistic. You can call it cruel if you want, but I'm only saying what everyone else is thinking. Do you really see yourself with him long-term? Be honest." Emily didn't answer right away. She wasn't used to being questioned about her feelings in such a blunt way. But her silence only fueled Sophia. "Exactly," Sophia said, sipping her latte. "You know I'm right. You're blinded by this little, charity case romance. But one day you'll wake up and realize you've wasted your time." Emily's jaw tightened. "You don't understand, Sophia. Daniel's worth more than all the money you brag about. He's real. And I'd rather be with someone real than someone fake. Sophia laughed. We'll see, we'll see. But as the semester moved on, reality began to bite. Daniel was constantly tired. He came late to study sessions, sometimes with dark circles under his eyes and hands rough from washing dishes at the diner. Emily noticed how thin he looked, how his clothes hung looser, how he often skipped meals to save money. One evening, as they studied in the library, Emily placed a sandwich in front of him. Daniel, you need to eat. You can't keep running on fumes. He looked embarrassed but accepted it. Thanks, I guess I forget sometimes. She studied him carefully. Why don't you let me help? I could, but he cut her off immediately. No, Emily, don't. I can't let you do that. I don't want your pity. It's not pity, she argued softly. It's because I care. Daniel shook his head. I have to stand on my own 2 feet. If I can't provide for myself, how could I ever think of being good enough for you? Emily's throat tightened. She wanted to tell him he was already enough, but the words stuck, caught in the fear that he truly didn't believe it. Things came to a head during a student networking event hosted by the university. Local business leaders, alumni, and wealthy donors filled the grand hall. It was the kind of event Sophia thrived in, gliding through the crowd in her glittering dress, laughing with people twice her age, flashing her father's name as a business card. Emily attended in a modest but elegant outfit, while Daniel showed up in his best, an old but neatly pressed suit that didn't quite fit. From the moment they walked in, whispers followed. A few students glanced at Daniel's outdated attire and smirked. Sophia spotted them instantly and pounced. Emily, she exclaimed dramatically, pulling her aside. You actually brought him here. Oh my God, look at his suit, it's like something from a thrift store. This is a networking gala, not a charity dinner. Emily glared. Sophia, stop, you're embarrassing yourself. Sophia ignored her, turning to Daniel. So tell me, Daniel, which company are you interning at? Or are you still shelving books? Daniel's face burned, but before he could answer, Emily stepped forward. Daniel works harder than anyone in this room. And one day, he's going to build a future bigger than all of your daddy's money combined. The hall grew quiet for a moment. Sophia rolled her eyes, muttered something under her breath, and walked away. Daniel, however, felt torn inside. He was grateful for Emily's defense, but part of him hated being the reason she had to speak like that. Later that night, as they walked home under the glow of city lights, Daniel finally spoke. Emily, you don't have to keep standing up for me. I know what people say. I know what they think when they see me with you. Emily stopped in her tracks. Daniel, I don't care what they think. I care about what I feel. And I feel lucky to have you in my life. Daniel looked at her, his heart aching with gratitude and fear all at once. But what if Sophia's right? What if one day you realize I'll never be able to give you the life you deserve? Emily reached for his hand, squeezing it tightly. The only life I deserve is one built on love and respect. And you already give me both. For the first time in weeks, Daniel allowed himself to smile, not the polite one he wore at work, but a real one, full of warmth. But Sophia wasn't finished. The next week, she cornered Emily again, this time more serious than mocking. Emily, I'm telling you this as your best friend. This isn't just about jokes anymore. People are talking. Do you know what they're saying? That you're wasting your time with a guy who'll drag you down. You'll graduate with honors, maybe get a good job, and he'll still be stuck waiting tables. Is that the future you want? Emily held her ground. Sophia, stop trying to control my choices. I'm not you. I don't need money to validate my relationship. I need love, and Daniel gives me that. Sophia sighed dramatically. You're making a mistake. Mark my words, this will end in heartbreak. Emily walked away, but her chest ached. Not because she believed Sophia, but because deep down, she feared Daniel might believe her. And the truth was, he did. As spring approached, Daniel began pulling away. He still studied with Emily, still smiled when she made him laugh, but there was a wall growing between them. He worked longer hours, skipped more meals, and when Emily asked what was wrong, he brushed it off. But at night, when he was alone in his tiny rented room, Sophia's words echoed louder than ever. What if she's right? What if I can never give Emily the life she deserves? What if loving her is selfish? Daniel wanted to believe Emily's love was enough. But doubt was slowly breaking him from the inside. Part 4 Breaking Point. Spring painted Columbia State University in bright colors, flowers bloomed around the campus, and the lawns once covered in snow now buzzed with laughter, frisbee games, and the promise of summer break. For most students, it was a season of lightness. But not for Daniel. The closer the semester edged toward finals, the more withdrawn he became. He still attended lectures, still helped Emily with her notes, but his smile had faded into something faint, distant. Emily noticed every detail, the way his eyes avoided hers, the way his phone lit up with messages from his boss begging him to cover another shift, the way he never seemed to rest. One afternoon, as they studied in the library, Emily reached across the table and touched his hand. "Daniel, what's going on? You've been different. Talk to me." He gently pulled his hand back. "I'm fine, Emily. Just tired. You've been saying that for weeks." She leaned closer, her voice soft. "Please don't shut me out." Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to tell her the truth, that he was drowning in doubt, haunted by Sophia's words, convinced he wasn't enough. But the words stuck, caught in his pride. Instead, he closed his textbook and stood. "I have to get to work. I'll see you later." Emily watched him leave, a sinking feeling in her stomach. Sophia, of course, noticed the change. And she used it as ammunition. At lunch one day, she slid into the seat across from Emily, a sly smile on her lips. "So, how's your perfect little boyfriend doing?" "Oh wait, let me guess. He's too busy bussing tables to actually spend time with you." Emily glared. "Sophia, I don't want to hear it." "Oh, come on," Sophia pressed. "Even you must see it now. He's pulling away. You know why? Because he knows he's not good enough for you. Finally, he's realizing what I've been saying all along." Emily clenched her fists. "You don't know him. You don't know us." Sophia leaned back smugly. "I know enough. And honestly, one day you'll thank me for saving you from a heartbreak you don't see coming." Emily stood abruptly, leaving her tray behind. She couldn't sit there another second. That night, Emily showed up at the diner where Daniel worked. She sat at a booth near the back, watching him move quickly between tables, balancing plates with practiced efficiency. He looked exhausted, his posture sagging, his smile forced. When he finally noticed her, he walked over, surprise flickering in his tired eyes. "Emily, what are you doing here?" "I wanted to see you," she said simply. He glanced around nervously. "I don't have time. I'm working. I can wait," she said, refusing to budge. Hours later, when his shift finally ended, Daniel slid into the booth across from her. He rubbed his temples. "Emily, you shouldn't be here. You deserve better than this, than waiting around in cheap diners for a guy who can't even buy you dinner." Her eyes softened. "Daniel, stop saying that. I'm not here for fancy dinners. I'm here for you. That's all I've ever wanted." Daniel's jaw clenched. "But what if I can't give you more? What if Sophia's right? You'll graduate, get a good job, live a life full of opportunities, and I'll still be scraping by." Emily reached for his hand, holding it tightly. "Then we'll scrape by together. Don't you get it? I don't need someone rich. I need someone real. And you are the most real person I've ever known." For a moment, Daniel wanted to believe her. But the voice in his head, the one that sounded too much like Sophia, whispered doubts he couldn't silence. A week later, the university hosted its annual spring gala, a formal event where students dressed in their finest, danced under chandeliers, and mingled with alumni. Emily wanted Daniel to come. "It'll be fun," she said, her eyes hopeful. "Just one night to forget everything else." Daniel hesitated. He didn't own a tuxedo. The best he could do was the same old suit from the networking event. But when he saw the sparkle in Emily's eyes, he reluctantly agreed. That night, Emily looked breathtaking in a flowing midnight blue dress. Daniel's heart skipped when he saw her, but the moment they entered the ballroom, the stares began. Whispers followed them, subtle but cutting. Why is she with him? Doesn't she know she could do better? Sophia was in her element, dazzling in a designer gown, surrounded by friends. When she spotted Emily and Daniel, her smile turned sharp. Well, if it isn't beauty in the bargain bin, she drawled loudly enough for others to hear. Laughter rippled through the group. Emily's cheeks flushed with anger. Sophia, that's enough. But Sophia only tilted her head innocently. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. Emily, you look amazing tonight. Shame your date doesn't match the part. Daniel's hands curled into fists. He wanted to walk out, to escape the humiliation, but Emily grabbed his arm. Don't listen to her. But he did. Every word echoed like a hammer against his pride. The night dragged on painfully. Emily tried to pull Daniel onto the dance floor, but he refused. Finally, he mumbled something about needing air and slipped outside. Emily followed, finding him leaning against the stone railing, staring out at the city skyline. "Daniel," she began softly. He shook his head. "Emily, I can't do this. I don't belong in your world. Every time I walk into a room with you, I feel like I'm dragging you down." Maybe Sophia's right. Maybe we're just too different. Her heart cracked. "Don't say that, please. You're not dragging me down. You're the only thing keeping me grounded." But Daniel stepped back, his eyes pained. "I love being with you, Emily. More than anything. But love doesn't change the truth. You deserve someone who can give you everything. And I'm not that guy." Tears filled her eyes. "Daniel, you are everything. Can't you see that?" For a moment, he almost gave in. But his pride, his fear, his exhaustion, it all came crashing down. "I need to figure out my life before I can be what you deserve," he whispered. "I'm sorry." And with that, he walked away, leaving Emily standing alone in the cold night, her heart shattered. Inside the ballroom, Sophia watched from a distance, her lips curling into a satisfied smile. Finally, she murmured, "She's starting to see the truth." What Sophia didn't realize, however, was that the truth Emily saw wasn't Daniel's weakness. It was his strength. And she wasn't about to give up on him, not now, not ever.